Most men don't know when they're being seduced, not because women are so clever, but because men are so blind. You think she liked your jokes. You think she laughed because she was interested. You think the late-night texts meant something real. You think the way she looked at you was love. But what if I told you none of it was personal? What if it was a dance you were never taught the steps to? What if she'd been rehearsing since the moment she learned her smile had power? This video isn't here to insult women. It's not here to make you angry at them. It's here to make you look in the mirror and see where you let yourself fall. Because most men walk into a woman's world like tourists, unarmed, unaware, desperate to be liked, waving their nice guy passport around, hoping it gets stamped. You get one compliment and think it's fate. One glance, and it must mean something. One deep conversation, and suddenly you're building a future in your head. And when it ends, you say, "She played me. She used me. She broke my heart." But now it's time to wake up, brother. Because if you don't understand seduction, you'll keep mistaking adrenaline for affection, manipulation for magic, and silence for mystery. You'll keep confusing her emotional power for your emotional bond. And when it ends, because it will, you won't know whether to cry or clap. So this is your moment. The curtain's being pulled, the spell is wearing off, and the script she used, we're about to read it together, word for word. And in the spirit of Robert Greene, the man who didn't just write about seduction, but dissected it like a surgeon. This video is a quiet tribute to his clarity, to his ruthlessness, and to the art of finally seeing the game as it is. Let's begin. Step 1. The mirror. It always starts the same way. You're not chasing her. She's not chasing you. But somehow, you end up staring into each other's orbit, and she's already ahead. She notices you. Before you've even opened your mouth, she's read something. Your posture, your restraint, your hunger disguised as calm. She sees it, and she leans in. Not physically, energetically. She gives you attention that doesn't feel cheap. She gives you curiosity that feels earned, and you feel it immediately. Something rare. That's step 1. She doesn't need to seduce you overtly. She just needs to create the illusion that you're finally being seen. Or as Greene writes, when our emotions are engaged, we often have trouble seeing things as they are. In The Art of Seduction, Robert Greene called this the strategy of the ideal lover. She doesn't dominate. She doesn't dazzle. She simply becomes the missing piece, the reflection of what you always wished a woman could be. She asks the questions other women never asked. She listens just a little too well. She smiles at the part of your story most people overlook, and you feel it. She understands. But here's what's actually happening. She's building a mirror and letting you fall in love with your own reflection. She doesn't show you her truth. She shows you your fantasy. You talk about your past. She nods with empathy. You mention your values. She echoes them, and you start thinking, this is real, this is different. But she hasn't revealed herself. She's just studied you. She's watched you offer your heart with pride, thinking it was mutual. It wasn't, because what she gave wasn't vulnerability. It was precision. She gave you soft eyes when your voice cracked. She gave you space to fill with your own meaning, and you did. This is the psychological genius of feminine seduction. She never forces connection. She creates possibility and lets you chase it. Because the man who believes he's being seen for who he truly is will give everything. His guard, his time, his depth. He'll offer it all, just to keep that rare feeling alive. And she knows it. That's the tragedy. She's not giving you love. She's giving you a stage, and the longer you talk, the more you believe it's safe, that this is the woman you've waited for. But she hasn't earned that belief. She's only positioned herself to receive it. That's how the ideal lover works. She becomes your fantasy by doing almost nothing, except noticing your hunger and feeding it in perfect doses. You think this is the beginning of something real. But for her, it's the beginning of something else. Control. And she now has it. Step 2, the hook. You've opened up. You've revealed things you don't usually say out loud, and in your head, it's building a connection, a vibe, maybe even something real. You think you're progressing, but you're not. You're about to enter the most powerful stage of her seduction, and the most dangerous one for you, emotional tension, not affection, not intimacy, tension, and she creates it through inconsistency. One day she's warm, she replies fast, she sends long messages, she compliments you, makes time, shares little pieces of her life. You feel special, picked, safe. And then, she's gone. The replies dry up, the tone changes, the warmth vanishes. You're no longer the one. Now you're just a friend, or worse, ignored. And your brain can't handle it. Because what you're feeling isn't just confusion, it's withdrawal. Robert Greene called this tactic the coquette. She gives you just enough to awaken desire, and then denies you the reward. Over and over again. Hot, cold, open, distant, soft, hard to read. You start searching for the pattern. What did I do wrong? Was I too forward? Was I not enough? You think you're fixing something. But what you're really doing is training yourself to chase unpredictability. This is emotional conditioning, and it works. Because when something is uncertain, the human brain values it more. It becomes a puzzle, a challenge, a reward you haven't yet earned. And nothing seduces a man faster than the belief that he's almost there. She doesn't need to deepen your feelings. She just needs to interrupt them. A flirty night out, followed by 3 days of silence. A voice note saying, "I miss you," then no response when you reply. One moment of intense eye contact, then nothing but cold politeness for a week. You think you're reading mixed signals, but there's nothing mixed about them. They're intentional, not always malicious, but highly effective. Because now your nervous system is wrapped around her presence. You're not chasing love, you're chasing relief. And when she gives it again, a smile, a message, a subtle touch, it feels like a win. You don't even question why you needed that win so badly in the first place. You're just grateful the discomfort stopped. That's how far in you are now. This isn't seduction through pleasure. This is seduction through instability. And every time she pulls away, you become more invested. Because now it's personal. Now you need to prove yourself. You believe that if you can just say the right thing, show the right side, be the perfect balance of interesting and calm, she'll come back. She won't, because she never left. She just stepped out of reach long enough to keep you chasing. And you are chasing. That's the brilliance of the coquette. She doesn't take anything from you. You give it all away. Step 3, the fantasy. At this point, you think you know her. You've laughed together, shared personal stories. You've imagined what it would be like to be with her, to wake up beside her, to introduce her to your world. It feels inevitable. But what you don't realize is you still don't know her. You only know the version of her you created, and that version is perfect, because she let you design it. Robert Greene called this tactic the strategy of the star. The star seduces not by revealing herself, but by letting others project onto her blank canvas. She offers just enough detail to spark your imagination, then steps back and watches you build the dream. She gives you fragments, hints, nothing solid, nothing that forces her into full vulnerability. She stays beautiful, distant, slightly mysterious, not because she's hiding something, but because she's protecting the fantasy. She knows the moment she becomes real, imperfect, human, flawed, you'll start to see her clearly, and that might ruin everything. So instead, she becomes just enough to keep you interested, just enough to make you think you're getting closer, just enough to make you believe you're making progress. And the rest, you fill in. Or, as Robert Greene writes, to compensate for the difficulties in their lives, people spend a lot of their time daydreaming. If you can create the illusion that through you they can live out their dreams, you will have them at your mercy. You assume she has depth because she said she likes old books. You assume she's loyal because she told you her ex hurt her. You assume she's emotionally mature because she listens without judgment. But she never said she was those things. You wanted her to be. She's not deceiving you. She's just not correcting your delusion. Because the truth is, you're convincing yourself she's the one. You're selling yourself a future. And every time she smiles, it feels like confirmation. You're emotionally invested in a mirage, and she lets you stay there. Why? Because it gives her the most powerful kind of control. Control without effort. She just needs to be less available than your desire. She knows that if she pulls away, you'll chase harder. Not because of who she is, but because of who you want her to be. And the deeper the fantasy gets, the harder the crash becomes. But she won't stop you. She'll let you build the illusion all the way to the top. Step 4. The vanish. You thought things were going somewhere. You told yourself it was just a matter of time. You played it cool. You showed your depth. You stayed present. You didn't push. You didn't beg. You just waited. Trusted the rhythm. Trusted her. And then it stopped. The replies came slower. The conversations got shorter. The tone shifted. Polite, mechanical, dull. No more emojis. No more late-night texts. No more, "I feel so safe with you." It's like someone flipped a switch. At first you panic. Maybe she's busy. Maybe something happened. Maybe you did something wrong. So you double-check your messages. Replay the voice notes. Reanalyze her last words like they were scripture. You convince yourself it's fixable. You send another message. Maybe 2. She replies. But it's dry, cold, delayed. And suddenly, the girl who made you feel like the chosen one is treating you like a stranger. You feel it in your gut. You don't want to accept it, but you know. She's pulling away. This is the final phase. The silent strike. The exit that leaves no answers. Only echoes. And you're still standing there, trying to understand what happened. But here's the brutal truth. She got what she wanted. She extracted your attention, your time, your energy, your vulnerability. And now she's gone. Not with drama, not with closure. Just gone. Because she doesn't owe you an ending. She never promised a beginning. That's the genius of feminine seduction. It's not built on commitment. It's built on suggestion. She never said, "I want a future." She just smiled when you described it. She never said, "You're mine." She just leaned into your shoulder at the perfect moment. So when she disappears, you don't get to mourn a relationship. You mourn the fantasy. Or as Greene wrote, if no resistances or obstacles face you, you must create them. No seduction can proceed without them. You're not heartbroken. You're disillusioned. That's why it hurts so much. Because somewhere inside, you knew. You knew she was never fully in it. You just didn't want to believe it. Robert Greene warned us about this collapse. The moment the seduction is complete, the power dynamic reverses. What once felt magical now feels manipulative. What once felt intimate now feels invasive. And what once felt destined now feels diseased. But you still chase, not because you want her back, but because you want to win. You want to prove you weren't just another man. You want to believe you weren't just used. You want to make the ending mean something, but it doesn't. She doesn't ghost you because she's afraid. She ghosts you because she can, because she knows you'll come looking, because your ego needs her to care, but she won't, because the game is over. She already knows the outcome, and you're still trying to rewrite the story, while she's halfway into the next one. Step 5. The collapse. This is where the silence gets loud. Not just on your phone, but in your head. You check her last message. Again. You replay the memory. Again. You wonder how something that felt so real could vanish without explanation. But the explanation is simple. It was never about you. It was about the feeling you gave her. The energy, the admiration, the attention, the chase. And when that feeling faded, so did her interest. You weren't chosen. You were convenient. You were exciting for a while, until you weren't. And now you're stuck with the realization that haunts most men. You were never in control. She held the frame. She set the pace. She knew when to pull you in and when to let go. And you were just reacting to her smiles, her silences, her rhythms. You weren't a man in power. You were a man in pursuit. And now that the pursuit is over, you feel the weight of everything you gave her. Your time, your secrets, your softness. You weren't just attracted. You were exposed. And what hurts the most isn't her absence. It's the part of you that let this happen. That's where the real collapse begins. Because now, for the first time, you start asking the hard questions. Why did I ignore the signs? Why did I chase her approval so desperately? Why did I need her to validate my worth? And the answer, when you're brave enough to face it, is brutal. Because you never gave that approval to yourself. You outsourced it. To her eyes, her laugh, her affection. She didn't break you. She revealed what was already broken. You called it chemistry, but it was your need to feel seen. You called it love, but it was your longing for someone to finally choose you. And now that she's gone, you're left with what's real. The absence, not of her, but of your own center. That's what seduction really steals. Not just your time, but yourself. Because when you give your power away in exchange for being noticed, you don't just lose the girl, you lose your grip. And that's the part no one warns you about. Robert Greene said, "Seduction is the process of turning someone's attention inward, away from reason, away from clarity, toward obsession." And now you see it, all of it. You were seduced not by her body, but by the idea of being wanted, of being finally enough, of being the one she chose. But she didn't choose you. She chose what you gave her, and the moment you stopped giving it, she left. This is the collapse, not of the relationship, but of your illusion. And the only way forward is through it. Because if you don't own what happened here, you'll carry this pattern into the next woman, and the next, and the next. You'll keep calling it fate, but it's just your blindness on repeat until you stop right now.